Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. It's just, holy crap, it's good. But we won't be getting a sequel until 2022, which is a drag. So to help get through the withdrawal, here's a list of stuff to watch until Miles swings back onto our screens. First, let's break down some of the elements that make Spider-Verse so good. The first one is obvious, I guess. The visual style of Spider-Verse is amazing. And it's not just that the animation style is spectacular, it's combined with a toolkit of fun, trippy visuals to help tell the story. 2. Did you know that Spider-Man, based on the movie Spider-Man Homecoming, which is based on earlier Spider-Man movies starring Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, in turn based on a 90s cartoon, were all originally based on Spider-Man comic books? On paper, of all things. I just looked it up, and it's true. At its heart, Spider-Verse is a story pulled straight from the comics. But at the same time, the movie is aware that it's a comic book movie, which allows it to satirize the genre that the work itself is a perfect example of, which I believe is written into every Lord & Miller contract at this point. Of course, this is a story about Miles Morales figuring out what it takes to wear the mask. It's his coming-of-age story, and honestly, a bit of a coming-of-age for his mentor. You know, sometimes it takes a while to come of age, okay? I blame John Cusack. And finally, guys, this soundtrack, it's not just cool needle drops, it's the pulse of the movie. I mean, it's also cool needle drops, but also the pulse. And now I have Sunflower stuck in my head again. Alright, ready for some recs? Let's go. First up are 5 for 5 matches. The first one is Teen Titans Go! To the movies! If you skipped it because it looked goofy, that's why you should see it. It's a great satire of the superhero genre and comic book movie business. Plus, Nick Cage plays Superman. The animation's wild. It's packed with DC Comics goodness, and it's a nice coming of age for Robin as he learns about what it takes to be a superhero/valuable IP. Plus, the soundtrack is silly and catchy, including yet another Michael Bolton classic. You know, when I think of a teenager in Brooklyn becoming a hero, I can't help but also think of a teenager becoming a queen in the French court. It's just this kink I have, don't judge me. Sofia Coppola's cult classic Marie Antoinette isn't animated. With a vibrant color palette and bold production design, it might as well be. And it's very comic booky. This Mean Girls in a Palace riff drips shoujo manga in every scene. The soundtrack never stops once it starts. It's almost like Coppola thought of the film while listening to a mixtape. It's a satirical blend of an out-of-touch royal court with high school-level social politics as this young lady navigates being a teen queen, whom I have no doubt everything will turn out just fine for. Oh, spoilers? Finally, there's Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. It's an Edgar Wright flick, so it's packed with visual flourishes and sequences that keep it firmly rooted in its comic book roots. The movie's tongue-in-cheek and self-aware throughout, and constantly comments on the romance trope Scott navigates in his quest to realize that knives is better than him. Sorry, big knife supporter here. And he does it all while coming of age. He even pulls a sword out of his chest when he grows up. I remember when I sprouted my first flaming chest sword. My teenage years were challenging. And did we mention it's an Edgar Wright movie? So yeah, it's got a great soundtrack, including a criminally underrated performance by Captain Marvel. On to the 4 scores. Let's kick things off with Dope, a satirical look at teen comedy and risky business-style stories. Dope has a killer soundtrack and is accentuated with cool visual touches throughout. It's the coming-of-age tale of a kid prepping for his Harvard interview, fumbling through an accidental drug deal with his pals. And if you listen closely, one of them sounds an awful lot like Miles Morales, which technically gives this a comic book feel? Honorary 5 out of 5? 2001's Josie and the Pussycats is a smart, funny send-up on the record companies torn right out of Archie Comics. Riverdale might get all the credit for bringing the gang to present day, but Josie updated the Pussycats for the early 2000s. Tara Reid, TRL references and all. It's your standard musician coming into their own tale, enhanced by a killer soundtrack by underrated gem Kay Hanley. After you finish this video, look up 3 small words and enjoy your new summer anthem. Finally, your chaser. Sorry to bother you. Like a lot of movies on this list, you'll either love it or hate it. There is no middle ground with Boots Riley's feature debut, and it's a satire of American capitalism's imaginary brass rings. But that's what makes it great. Along with a genre-twisting score by The Coop, the movie boasts some of the trippiest and unsettling visuals you've seen in a while. Thanks to the movie's sharp left turn we won't spoil here, and beg you not to spoil in the comments. It features a nuanced, slow-burn performance by Lakeith Stanfield as a young man finding his way in the world and balancing his economic, moral, and social responsibilities, and a career best from Armie Hammer as a gross tech bro. Let's shoot some 3-pointers. 2006's Takonkoncrete tells the tale of 2 brothers surviving in Treasure Town. The animation is beautiful and stylized, and sucks you into this surreal tale of good versus evil from the first frame. This is the tale of 2 brothers growing up, grown apart, and ultimately finding each other again, and is based on a manga from the early 90s, objectively the best time to be a manga. Let's follow it up with a more recent animated feature, The Boy and the Beast from Funimation. It's the coming-of-age tale of an orphan boy who finds his place in the Beast Kingdom, and while it's not adapted from a comic, it absolutely has the feel of one. The animation is great, and the climactic third act includes some haunting visuals. And speaking of boys running away to Beast Kingdoms to learn the way of the sword, it's Trainspotting? Okay, Danny Boyle's Trainspotting has none of that, but you're not watching this for the transitions, are you? You are? Weird. Uh-oh. Well look, Trainspotting has plenty of trippy visuals and it explores the life of a drug addict in Edinburgh, so tomato tomato. It's a darkly satirical story told by a fantastic cast led by Ewan McGregor, using his actual accent, and complemented by one of the best soundtracks of the 90s. Which leaves us with our final twofer, Black Dynamite. Michael Jai White deserves an Oscar for this Naked Gun throwback that satirizes the blaxploitation genre, but it could easily be ripping on street-level comic book characters like Heroes for Hire, too. Watch it with your friends and then quote it to each other until you die. It's that funny. So there you go, a ton of titles to keep you going until we're reunited with Spider-Ham. If you need some help narrowing it down, you can't go wrong with a double feature of Dope and Black Dynamite. But if you'd rather trust the metrics, the highest rated film on Rotten Tomatoes is Sorry to Bother You. A score of 93? That earns you a spot in the Power Color Suite, baby! Meanwhile, the highest on Metacritic belongs to Trainspotting, although Sick Boy would say, it's merely a blip on an otherwise uninterrupted downward trajectory. My apologies to Scotland for that accent. And the movie with the most active community on Fandom is Teen Titans Go to the Movies. So what are you gonna watch? What would you recommend? Let us know in the comments. Until we see you next time, we'll probably still be singing Sunflower. Ha! Got it back in your head.